Okay, welcome back, Jefitas. We are on episode 14 now, and I'm very excited because I have Brittney here. And for me, it's very exciting because not only do I know her personally, but she's also a very good realtor here in San Antonio. So I'm glad that I'm able to have her on so that she can talk about a little bit of what she does here and what her career has done for her. So I'm going to go ahead and let her introduce herself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Brittney. I am a realtor here in San Antonio. I've been selling in San Antonio for about 6 years now, and real estate is truly a passion of mine.
Great. And 6 years, so that's a very long time. Tell me a little bit about what kind of got you into realtoring and like how that whole, venture started for you.
So let's see, 6 years ago, I was actually bartending at a really big strip club here in San Antonio. I was the VIP bartender. I grew a lot of fan base through that. And, as I started getting older, I was like, man, I can't be doing this forever. So I was like, I constantly was thinking about what am I going to do? What's my future look like? Because I knew that that wasn't sustainable for me. So one day, one of my close girlfriends that like literally I grew up with, she came into the club and she was like, you need to get into real estate. And I was like, she's like, you can make a lot of money. And I was like, okay, that's all I needed to hear. Right.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, like it wasn't as easy as everybody thought it was going to, as I thought it was going to be. I know a lot of people just look at it from the outside looking in and think that it's so easy, and it's not.
So take me a little bit back, your bartending and stuff, and really, were you just bartending or were you doing something else like career wise or going to school or?
So like, let's see, I'm born and raised in San Antonio, right? So I took off to California. I was in a relationship and I moved out there for about a year. I came back home. Bartending was all I knew. So I was bartending. And I wasn't going to school. I was just living my life. You know what I mean? Like I don't have kids or anything. So it was just me, myself, and I just honestly wilding out, just living life.
Yeah. So, once your friend kind of gave you that push of like, let's join realtoring, how was that for you? What was that process like?
So I first got like I immediately I was like, okay, you can make a lot of money. I was already making great money. Like I was super blessed, back then. So I started like Googling where I can go to real estate school. And I paid for an online class, which cost me like $1,000. Or no, I think it was only like 500-600, right? So I was like, okay, whatever, I paid it. And I wasn't learning anything. Like I was trying to study and like they didn't give me books or anything. So I was like, man, what else can I do? So I Googled real estate schools here in San Antonio. And then that's when I was like, okay, like I was actually going to school as a 6-week program back in the day. It was like 6-7 years ago. It was a 6-week program. And I was going to school from 8 a.m. to like 4 p.m. And then immediately after, I would have to be ready at the club by 6:30. And I would do that Monday through Thursday. And so it was like I was working full time and I was going to school full time. So that is extremely exhausting for 6 weeks straight. Like it
Yeah.
was, yeah, it was really tough.
So, once you kind of got into it, were you ever discouraged, as far as like the whole studying part? Because I know sometimes school isn't for everybody.
So with the schooling part, honestly, no, like it was just simple. It was basic. It was just like, study, take the test, pass, next class. So it wasn't any of the schooling for me that was like discouraging. That was just easy. Like I feel like everybody was acing it. As long as you sat there and applied yourself, you could pass it.
Mhm. Did you ever find yourself questioning whether or not that was a right step for you?
Not really, because I was very motivated. I knew, like, I would see a lot of the dancers, and this is not to knock anybody's hustle, right? I would see a lot of the dancers that were like 30 plus, still dancing, and I was like, man, like, I was just a bartender, yet I didn't want to be there for longer than I had to. Like, you're only young and pretty for so long, but I feel like I'm still young and pretty. So who
Okay.
knows,
Really?
right? But that was like my biggest motivation is like, I would wake up, I'd be so exhausted. You'd leave the club at 3. By the time you get home, 3:30, 4 a.m., you got to turn around and be back at school at 8. Like, it was tough, but I knew what I wanted and I just kept my eye on the prize.
So now take me to where you finally graduate, you take your test, you ace it. What is the next step for you?
Yeah. So I immediately, the girlfriend that, told me like, hey, get into real estate, right? I kind of followed her and I went to her brokerage, and it was like an older brokerage, the splits were very minimal. So like a lot of people don't understand like what splits are. So it's like you make a certain percentage of the house, but your brokerage also has a split with that as well. So it's like, and then they have some that have caps, right? And so this one was like very minimal. Like the split was very, very low. So I was like, cool, like I can get here and I can make a lot of money. That was like in my head. Yet I wasn't doing any of that, right? So I had to start, and I was still going to the club, and I still had a lot of my regulars that were like, oh, just remember, like when real estate doesn't work out for you, like you can always come back here. And I'm just like, that was like a big slap in my face. And I was just like, I'm gonna prove y'all wrong. You know what I mean? So now fast forward, that was probably like 6 months in, I couldn't do it no more. Like I was just so upset that I wasn't selling, because I thought real estate was going to be like a pizza delivery shop. I thought everyone's going to call me and be like, hey, I need to buy and sell. Like it's not like that, So I needed a training, I needed guidance. And so I joined Maloof International Group, and I've been with them, 5+ years now. And for like being with them, they really taught me on how to hustle and how to go after leads and how to like, serve my clients and stuff like that. So that's
So joining them, because that's where I know you from.
yeah.
So joining them, was that something that you off the bat were like, that was a good decision for me? Because
100%. 100%. For me, like if you knew me 6 years ago, I was a completely different person. And I told Scott this 1,000 times, and I'll continue to tell him this. It's really changed my life. You know what I mean? Like not just the money wise. Like I make great money. I'm blessed, and I can do what I want to do. Yet me growing as a person before this, being in the club environment, I feel like a lot of us, like it's my way or the highway. Like I feel like we're just, stuck in our ways. And I really was, I never had the open mindset. I was never open to growing. Like I didn't care. Like it was all about me, So he's really changed my mindset on a lot of things, and being around the team and just being like selfless was big for me. So yeah.
I do get the privilege to see you guys as a unit, and I think that's super awesome how much of like a team that you guys have built, because I see you guys always posting team meetings. You guys always have classes where you guys are not just building on your career, but you guys are also building as personal. And I also enjoy seeing you guys go to church together too. I think that's beautiful that you guys are in a environment not only that helps you grow professionally, but also as a person. Yeah. So now you are 6 years in. Tell me a little bit about the accomplishments, because I know recently I've seen you hit some very amazing milestones in your life. So tell me a little bit about that.
So my first year, I will never forget this. Whenever I was transitioning from bartending to actually doing real estate, my first 6 months were tough. Like I wasn't selling anything. I didn't know what I was doing. And I was very money driven, right? So I was like, versus like, what can I do for people? It was like, what can they do for me? I was still in that mindset, right? So I remember it was, oh my gosh, 2019, January 2019, I left the bar. And I was just like threw my whole self into real estate, right? So 2019, January, I fasted and I prayed for 21 days. I gave up alcohol because that was such a big part of my life. I gave up alcohol. And every single day I asked God, like, bless my business, bless my business. By the end of those 21 days, I had 2.2 million worth in buyers. Now that's a big buyer revenue, right? So one of the goals I had set for myself for that year, I was like, I wanted to buy my Tesla and I wanted to take my family on a paid vacation. And so those are like my first two really big accomplishments that I got through in real estate. Also growing through that, like that was my first year. I just bought my second Tesla because I was in an accident, so I had to buy another one. right? I'm still happy with that car. I bought my house. I bought my mom a car. What else? My mom just bought her house. I helped her with that. So yeah, I mean, it's real estate's life changing. Like it is so life changing if you're doing it for the right reasons and not just trying to make a dollar. You know what I mean? Like it's, yeah.
What would you tell somebody that's kind of in that crossroad that's like wanting to join realtoring but is just like unsure? Like what would you tell them?
Understand that it's a 24/7 job. Like my phone is jumping all the time. Like I'm constantly juggling clients, juggling my life, my family. It's not easy. So I feel like a lot of people outside looking in are just like, oh, like she's closing a lot. She has all these clients. It took me a lot of time to get to the point where I'm at now. And if anyone's thinking about joining, I would just say save up 6 months of income or have, family that's able to support you. Because when I first started, I literally couldn't put gas in my car. I couldn't pay my bills. Like I literally couldn't eat. Like it's really tough. And you have to have a super strong mindset. And if you're whenever you do finally cross that bridge where you're like, okay, now I'm starting to have clients, I'm starting to be successful. It's so rewarding, not just the money, you know what I mean? Just because you built something on your own. But yeah, just really look into it because it's a lot of work. It's a lot.
Yeah, I bet it is. I recently saw, I'm not sure if it was last year in December time that you were awarded a reward.
Yeah, I have a lot of awards. I'm like looking at them now. I always get the top team awards. So top team awards is like basically we have a team inside the team, right? So we have Keller Williams Heritage, that's the brokerage. And then we're Maloof International Group inside the brokerage. So that's the team. Well, within our team, we also have team leaders. So like I'm a team leader. And then there's probably, I know Janet's one, Josue, Ryan, Sarah comment, like there's so many, right? Yet my team's one of the highest producers. So like I take a lot of pride in that because it's like my team's killing it, so I get top team award. The millions that I sell, let's see, last year I did 6.7 million. The year before that I did like 8 million. What else? What other top 3 units? Like I was one of the top 3 in the team. I sold 28 units last year. Yeah, 28 units. I'm trying to see my other 21. I sold 31 units. So it's like, but for me, it's like that's minimal. Like that's not a lot. But in the grand scheme of things, looking at other real estate agents, that's a lot of units.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think those are awesome things that you've accomplished throughout, your career because you're still pretty young. So tell me, what is your goal in the next 5 years as far as your career?
So as far as my career, just really I'm looking to add more agents to my team. I want people that are driven. I want people that have a great mindset, that are open to growing. I'm looking to my goal this year is to sell $10 million in real estate. And really just keep prospering and just keep, setting, I want to buy I'm already starting to look into an investment property because I feel like it's something I've been contemplating for so long, and it's like I just need to buy it. Like I'm just in my own head. So I would say those things: hiring more agents, selling 10 million this year, and buying an investment property.
I'm sure you're more than capable of reaching those goals, girl. Tell me a little bit about like being a team leader, having to be the one in charge of other people. I know sometimes that's a little hard. So can you tell me how that is for you?
It's very fascinating, right? Because the biggest thing for me is I can see everybody's potential, right? So it's like that saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. That's what it's like, right? And I'm the first person to tell you, like, I'm not here to be your boss. Like, I'm not here to be your boss. Like, if you want something, you're gonna go after it, right? And I strongly believe it's like only the hungry are gonna eat. Like how hungry are you to go get it? So it's just, it does get tough sometimes because it's like, man, like I see the world in you. If you could just see the world in yourself, you know what I mean? So just really pulling that motivation from people sometimes is just like I said, fascinating, right? Because you're like, damn, like you could be killing it. There's no reason that you shouldn't be killing it with the sphere that they have, with, you know, the skills that the team provides. Like there's so much. You know, so just really keeping them on track. And also like I meet with them every fifth, I call it 15 protocol, right? So 15 protocols, like the halfway of the month, we sit down and we're like, okay, your goal for the month is to sell 4 units. Okay, are you tracking? Are you not? Let's say if they're at 1 unit, you know, okay, well, how do we add more activities to your daily to make sure that you actually accomplish those 4 transactions that you're trying to get before the end of the month is over. So really just helping them manage themselves, you know what I mean? Like I just don't like to sit here and be like, oh, you need to do this, you need to do I just, it gives me the ick.
What is something that you, as far as like you know, realtoring goes, because of course for somebody that's not in the realtor industry, we have like these kind of ideas of what it's really like, or I guess like myths of buying a home and things like that. What are your top 5 like myths that you're like, that's not true as far as like realtoring?
Like for my clients or like for other people thinking about being trying
I
to
would
be
I would say clients.
for clients, I would say the number one myth is everybody thinks you need $20,000 to get into a home.
Mhm.
That's not true. I would say number 2 is that you need to have a 700 credit score. Not true. Um, let's see what else. Um, Man, you have to have like really strong rental history. Not true. You can't have any debt. Not true. That was like 4. I would say 5 is just like that it's possible. A lot of people think that buying a house is impossible. Like I got my mom into her house for less than $3,000. Like first time home buyers, there's so many programs for people. Like it's unbelievable. You know, just
Yeah.
having somebody in your corner that understands the programs and that's going to make sure that you get the best deal possible.
Yes. So, kind of off of that, would you say the most rewarding thing for you is like your first time home buyer?
Yeah, 100%, because it's like, you know, I feel so, it's so rewarding, girl, just to like get that family into a home that like you hear their stories. Like I sit down with every single client before we even start house shopping because like I want to know them. I want to make sure that I'm the best realtor for them. I want to make sure that they're the best client for me. You know what I mean? So like I sit down and I hear their stories and just to like hear how long they've been renting or hear how long they've been staying with family. It's like grown people with kids and they're like still renting. I'm like, there's no reason you can't buy a house. Like there's no reason. So it's like help, they just don't have the guidance. You know what I mean? Like this isn't something we were ever taught in school. Like nobody told us like, oh, here's how to build your credit and here's how to save money and here's how to buy a house. Like we never got that. So for me, it's like, yeah, just guiding somebody to be like just that person in their life that helped them accomplish that. And it's such a huge accomplishment. And yeah, it's just it's beautiful. It's so beautiful, especially when they have kids. I'm like, oh my heart. Like
Yeah.
for them to, for the kids to see their parents buying a home, life changing, you
Yeah.
know.
I can definitely add to that because we did sit down with you, me and Adrian, to kind of get an idea of what we need to like move forward. And I can say that it was super helpful because we don't know anything about credit. We don't have established credit. So just sitting down with you and having that whole presentation, the way you brought it to us, and even like after how you offered the credit repair and things like that. So like it's awesome to see that it's not just like this is what you need and kind of like
Go off on your own and figure
back
it out.
off. Yeah. So I definitely can say like, yeah, you do help us feel like we know that we need this information done, and like I'm here for you the whole way, which is awesome because it's not just you, it's your whole team.
Yeah.
And I think your credit retrieval guy reached out to us and was like, hey, how are you guys doing? So it's very awesome to see that, it's like a whole
Yeah,
um
it's a team effort.
yeah,
Yeah.
team effort. What is one person that you look up to, not just in the realtor industry, but also in your personal?
I would say I would say Scott. He's a chameleon, right? So he has so many different colors and he wears so many different hats. And I'm not talking about his big hats that he wears. Scott's a very inspirational man. Like he goes out of his way to take care of people. And he's so like selfless. Like he's so selfless and he's just like giving. This man has the most grace I've ever met anybody with. He just has so much grace. And I feel like when I approach things, I'm always like, okay, what would Scott do? Like, how would he approach this? How would he handle things? You know what I mean? And I do my best to mimic him and, kind of move the way he does. And especially in my business, because that man knows what he's doing. Yeah. And yeah, he really prioritized. Like one thing I talked to Scott about his first year, I think he did like something crazy, like 60 or 84 units, something like that. Like one of the two is either 64 or 84. And I asked him, like, how did you, because there's this book that we read, like one of my favorite books. It's called, what is it called? Why do I not even have it? It's called The One Thing. And it talks about in there about juggling stuff, right? It's like you have your life and you have your health and you have, your work and you have your physical and you have your spiritual. It's like, these are juggling balls, right? And there's certain balls that are not, like think of them all like rubber balls, but like your health and your family, they're glass balls. So if you drop one of those, it's going to be potentially damaged, right? So I asked him, I said, your first year of real estate, how did you, juggle all this, all that, those transactions and still make time for your family? He's like, I didn't. I was like, wow. So like for me, now moving forward, he's like, I prioritize my family. Like he sits down with his family every day for 5 o'clock for dinner, you know what I mean? With his grandma. And it's like things like that. I'm like, man, like this man really pours himself into his family and then into us so much. Like he pours so much into the team. It's unbelievable. And he does it so selflessly. And I know we probably get on his damn nerves. Yet he's still there to like help us and guide us and really just cheer us on. So I think he's one of my biggest like
inspiration.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Because you guys are a whole team, kind of explain to me a little, because for us looking in, we of course we don't know exactly what that is. You guys have your own realtor group, correct?
Yeah.
So then it's you guys are able to, as a whole team, help buy houses and like things like that. So how does that work for you guys?
So like I said, it's Keller Williams Heritage, and that's the brokerage, right? That's where we all office out of. And Keller Williams Heritage, they have multiple teams, right? So our office, so Keller Williams Heritage is the number one, not only in San Antonio, but in the world. Our office alone has over 1,300 agents. And out of those 1,300 agents, our team, Maloof International Group, is the number one team, right? So within our team, we also have our small teams, right? So it's like under me, I have Sarah, Catherine, Wendy, and those are like my girls, right? So it's like we all just operate our own business, right? And then we all just like ping off of one another, and we like sit down a lot, and just kind of like we're all running our own business. Yeah, we do have the opportunities to have help, like I have a lot of listings, right? So I have a lot of the team that goes out there and they do open houses on my listings, like when I can't do it because I'm only one person, I can only do so much, right? So that's kind of like how our dynamics work. And what I love is that we never look at each other like competition. Like if I know something's working for me and my business and like my lead generation, I'm like, hey, you should try XYZ. Hey, this is how I help my buyer get under contract. You should try that with your buyer. Like talking out loud with everybody, it's just like we grow into those conversations, and it's like we all like effectively help each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Which is good. So then would you say for somebody that's just coming out of school and has their license, would you recommend them joining you guys?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. So the only thing with us is we do a 5-step process, right? So it's not like, so a lot of the times like everyone's like, what's the first thing I do when I get my license? So it's like interview the brokerage, right? So with us, it's like, you're not interviewing us, we're interviewing you, because we're very, like we don't just hire anybody, right? We're like really big on culture. I think you've seen that a lot. And you were at our event the other day with our backpack giveaways. So it's like, we're big on like, who's going to come in and make sure that they're going to fit the culture, right? Because it's like our three models is God, family, business in that order. And it's like, you have to like align with that to make sure that you align with our team. So yeah, I mean, if anyone's looking to join the team, just, I mean, message me and then we could set up an interview from there.
Yes. And I think because you guys have those three models, I think that's really what makes you guys so successful and really what has made you guys the number one team here in San Antonio. So
Yeah.
moving kind of forward a little bit, for you as a realtor, what is one thing that you want to like let other people know about like your business, like one thing that people don't really get off of like social media and things like that, as far as like being a realtor?
Yeah. I would say I was talking to a friend about this the other day. He was like, "Oh, like how do you manage it?" And I'm like, it's you really gotta know how to like shut things off, right? You can't let things bother you. You have to have a very strong mindset. Like a lot of times I'll have agents, you know, cuss me out, not really cuss me out, but like get, you know, pretty feisty. And I'm just like, for me, it's just a transaction. Like there's nothing to get worked up about it. Um, and just like understanding that like let's say one buyer for instance, right, like example, you have a buyer, let's say if you have to get them through credit, once they get through credit they have to go to the lender. Once you get them to lender, we got to find a house. Once you find the house, you have the listing agent, then you have the title companies, and then you have the surveyors, and then you have the inspector. There's so many hands on one transaction. It's like you're talking to 1,000 people for just one single client, you know. So just understanding that it's a very it's a multitasking job. Even though I hate multitasking, it's like you have to like be able to manage like all these different people and all these different personalities, including your client, right? And like you have to make sure that you're on top and you're able to keep them calm and help them understand what's going on and not like freak them out, because it's a very emotionally charged you know, relationship, because it's like, dang, they're buying their first house. This is probably one of the biggest investments that they're ever going to purchase, and they're trusting you to do it, you know. So just, you know, keeping that top of mind is that this is also people's money, and you have to, you know, carry that, you know, with a lot of high regards and just be there for them.
So on that same topic, because you do as a realtor have to kind of stay organized and really kind of have this balance, what is one of the three main things that you would recommend somebody that's like in realtoring that's kind of finding their way? What are the three top like advices that you give them to stay organized and like to find their balance?
So number one, I would say create a routine. Like everybody needs a routine. I live by my routine. Create a routine, hire a transaction coordinator. I have a virtual assistant, so she helps me with all of my social media stuff on the back end. So that's like a game changer. And number three, get an iPad and download Good Notes. Like Good Notes is like my holy grail. I keep everything in there. I put all my notes, all my transactions, my to-do list, you know, my success list, everything I have to do, I keep it in there. And that's the one thing that helps me stay super organized.
Okay, that's perfect. So kind of wrapping up a little bit, I know that for you, I see you read a lot. What are one of the main three books that you recommend for somebody to change their mindset?
So the first one would be the One Thing. It's by Gary Keller and Greg Papasan. The second one, I actually just read this one not too long ago. It's called The 12-Week Year. Let me see who it's by. Brian Moran. That one's really good. This one's like a game changer. I feel like I have so many like little tabs in here just saved. The 12-Week Year is really good. And then my third book, for real estate or just period?
Just period.
Okay. I would say Extreme Ownership. Extreme Ownership. Let me see who this one's by. It's like a Navy SEAL book. Jocko Willink. Yeah, I don't know.
So in other words, I'm gonna download those three and
Yeah,
read them myself.
I would say the One Thing is like my number one. 12-Week Year is a game changer for anybody who's in business. Also helps you stay organized. Start with Why by Simon Sinek is also really good. But yeah. I read a lot.
No, but it's good. But I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining me. I think that you're killing it out here. Clearly, I see all the rewards that you guys get. Your team is wonderful. I see all the things that you guys do in the community, and to me, that's awesome because it's not just about selling houses for you guys. It's really building your community as well. So
100.
so thank you for joining me. But let everybody know where they can connect with you and where they can find you.
So my Instagram is Brittney, Brittney period Casa. That's my main Instagram. That's going to be where you can reach me the best. Shoot me a DM if you're thinking about buying or selling, or even thinking about investing, or if you're thinking about joining the team. Like I said, we're looking for agents. So, but yeah, all of my contact info is on there.
Yes, and I'll get that information too, so I can put it below on the episode. That way they can reach you faster. But thank you so much, Brittney, for joining me and spending time on a Sunday with me to record
Yeah,
this. And
absolutely.
I hope that you guys are able to connect with her, and like if you're in the market, like she says, just shoot her a message. But thank you so much. It's
For
truly
having me. I appreciate it.
no, thank you. And truly you're an inspiration not only to people in realtoring, but also like for us business women, because you're hitting big goals and you're doing a lot for the community as well. So
Absolutely. Appreciate it.
but thank you so much.